Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Whatever you want to call this, I don't know. We're just going to throw this under the fishing elephant banner. I'm wearing a Beers and Bullshit t-shirt. But through podcasting, we have found some amazing connections. And here in Rapid City, there are a bunch of funny connections. And everybody is related to somebody that you know. Through Spooky Intel, Kylie, our fantastic co-host on that show, she has a boyfriend named Cass, and Cass is equally as fantastic. He's an amazing man, but his brother is actually known a little bit more than Cass is, just a smidge more. So if you recognize the man in front of me, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor of having Cooper Bowman, who was drafted by the Yankees here this year. So obviously, yeah, it's been awesome. We've been kind of BSing off camera here for about 30 minutes, but we're jumping on now. We're going to talk to Cooper. We're going to break down some regular kind of beers and bullshit shenanigans. We're going to talk about some Yankees baseball, a little Would You Rather segment. And I'm going to ask him straight up about Yankees legends, who he thinks would win in a fight, honestly. So, we have some fun ones coming up there for you, some awesome segments, but obviously we're just going to break it down here. So, Cooper, enough of me talking here. Welcome to the show. How you doing, bud?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Dude,
cool.
Yeah, like I said, I was super excited. Kylie hit me up, I think it was late last night, and she's like, well, Cooper's in town. He's down to do the show. When can you do it? And I'm like, whatever works for him. I'm like, we got a guy's drafted, so 4th round, 122nd overall by the Yankees this year. Mm-hmm. Dude, let's cut the question, because as a sports fan, obviously I got to know, gorge about it. What was it like?
It was crazy. My brother was there, and he can just attest to it. It happened so quick, I got the phone call and I actually ran upstairs because I didn't know exactly what was happening.
Yeah.
And it was just my agent. He was like, hey, this is the offer. Do you want it or not? And I said, yes, obviously. And then I walked inside and my mom was right there because she knew I just got a call. And she was like, what are you going to tell me? I was like, are you going to go tell everyone? Because you might.
Yep.
And so then she starts crying. I'm like, yeah, you can't handle it.
Yep.
So we're just going to go downstairs and wait for it. But it was really cool because my whole family was there. My best friend was there. It was cool.
Dude, that's awesome. I think that's, for me, the NFL draft, because obviously, unfortunately, the MLB draft is not that widely publicized.
It's not.
I like to try to catch the first round, try to see some up-and-coming prospects. That way I'm not ignorant to baseball. But I'm not going to lie, I don't do the deep dive like football, which they obviously publicize the draft way more. But still, it's a nice intimate moment with your family and getting that call, especially when you get that call from the Yankees. Now, obviously, a lot of people feel a certain way about the Yankees, but you can be a diehard Red Sox fan. We have the game on right now in the background. But dear God, if it says, call New York on your phone and you know that that's coming in, I don't even care if it's the Mets, but if it's the Yankees, you're playing for the franchise. Talk about that one. Because we kind of asked, because I asked before the show, I'm like, what's your favorite team? I'm like, you can tell me off camera.
Right.
I'm like, because you're now a Yankees fan because you play for them. And you were like, honestly, the Yankees.
Right.
So what was it like getting drafted by the Yankees?
It was just cool. I shouldn't say pressure because it's not pressure, but there's a lot of expectation that goes along with it, which is cool, I think. Mm-hmm. We show up to the field every day and we're dressed up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Khaki shorts, khaki pants. They prefer a collared shirt. It's just and we see other teams and they don't do that, obviously. So it's just a different standard that you're kind of being held to, which is pretty cool. And then a lot of people think Yankee fans suck, but they're the biggest fans ever.
Oh, easily.
We have crazy fans at low A games that no one's at. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they're just diehard. So I don't know. Those two combinations, or the combination of those two, is just makes it crazy. I think.
I bet you it's absolutely nuts because you're sitting there, and people are like, well, you hate the Yankees, but why do you hate the Yankees? Because of success. I'm not going to lie, for me in baseball, I will tell you to your face, yeah, when the Yankees are on, I want them to lose, but it's out of more respect than anything. You don't hate them because the Yankees, unless you consider just signing players in an open market cheating, which it isn't, it's 100% within the rules.
Right.
And they've had some, great homegrown talent as well, we'll cover later, but how can you hate a team besides other than the fact that they just win?
Yeah,
They just win,
and it's crazy. We do it at all levels, and I don't really understand it. The development is just crazy. In 2 months there, I was shocked. I was shocked at how much better I got and how much better everyone else got in that short amount of time. We just have the best coaches, and they travel from every affiliate. So they do everything.
So that is a rotating, kind of the positional coaching staff. So I believe right now they have you where you switch to in college at second base.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, what is it like for positional coaching? Who are you grouped with? Break it down for me.
So all the infielders are together, but I obviously work with Short a ton. And so I room with the kid, actually. We golf together. We do all this stuff together. And then we practice together all day. It's cool, but Yeah, I mean, basically, we have to be on the same page with everything, so we do every drill together.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like having to understand, like, I mean, you're playing with a pro now, so
Exactly.
every direction you go, everyone's better. So you kind of figure out like who takes what and how much range everyone has and stuff like that. So it's actually like tougher than you would think.
Well, and that's one of the we'll call them sports marriages, if you will. I feel like there's a handful of sports marriages because you have quarterback, center, and football. Arguably, in traditional basketball, you could probably say like point guard, center, traditional pick and roll combination. But obviously in baseball, I feel like you got pitcher, catcher, and then you have second short. Because second short, once again, you're the mirror of the other person. You have to be. You are literally just the left-handed version of the shortstop, and so that's all it really is. You have to be able to flow with them. You have to be able to shift with them. I mean, that's your on-field husband to put it plainly. Honestly,
it's crazy. It's crazy how the first couple weeks him and I played together, there were just like tweener balls that we both stopped running for, or like he slid and I had to jump him or something crazy. And by the end of the season, like we just knew kind of who was going to get to what. It's just, people don't realize.
And so you guys obviously still stay in contact then when you're back here too. You're snapping them, you're texting them and stuff like that because at this point the dream has to be to get called up together. I mean, if you're pairing up like that, obviously.
Yeah, I mean it'd be really cool, obviously, but realistically, the odds of that all happening.
Exactly. For it to time perfect like that, are you kidding me? Yeah, the road to the show, just from what I understand as a fan, obviously is a completely crazy one. So obviously you're starting yours.
Right.
I mean, and that's the fabled show. It's honestly, when we're talking about come-ups in any sport, there's just still something about baseball in the minor league system. Right. I mean, what is your opinion on it all?
I mean, I don't know any other way you could do it, honestly, because there's so many good players that you need that many levels.
Yep.
It's just, I don't know, sometimes guys just fly through it, like one or two things click and they just go, and some guys are on the fast track kind of. Yep. And other guys just get stuck. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you got guys who are career minor leaguers. I actually played softball with a guy. It was church league softball, but he got caught up in the Twins minor league system, and I think he said he's like, I made it to AAA for half a season when I was 23, and he ended up tearing his rotator cuff, and he was a shortstop, and they threw him to second base, and he never made it past high A again. Yeah. Like he dropped below high A. They tried to put him to double. He just didn't recover well. Dropped him to high A, and then he kept rotating between the single A's, just until he was like, you know what? He's like, I got a family. He's like, I got a degree from college. You know what I mean? I mean, baseball gave me at least that. It gave me a little bit of money. I'm gonna go start my life, and moved out to Podunk, Rapid City. So and I'm trust me, playing church league softball with that that guy.
Really fair,
God, that's like having Jesus on the church choir. It's not really. I think we got a ringer over here. Yeah. This guy's literally been paid to play baseball.
Yeah, it's not cool.
In the church league throwing against 68-year-old Pastor Tom from the Catholic Church. So, safe to say it's a mismatch in sports there. But obviously, we kind of got to drafted, playing for the Yankees minor league. I mean, growing up, though, baseball here in Rapid, I'd say honestly, though, is still probably the primary sport when you look at upbringing. Because you look at the effect of you're a post-22 alum. I'm going to assume, did you play Canyon Lake Little League? All right, awesome. Nice. Alum there, Canyon Lake Little League alum. Yep. I don't know if the Rockers were still around. I was part of the Rockers. We were D3 champions. My 12-year-old.
They were really good when I was there. So
we were really good before I got there. Or no, my first year there. So we were really good my first year there. We ended up in the first division first couple of years. And then the last year we got really young. So I was one of the 12-year-olds. And this is to speak, I was one of the better players on the team. And so that's going to speak of how bad the team was. Well, I mean, when I played ball, dude, I was a smart ball player, but I was by no means athletic. I could hit for contact, but I think I had 4 home runs ever, and that was just a result of perfect connections. So, when I played ball, I enjoyed it, but it definitely wasn't my game. What was it like for you growing up? I mean, were you always Cooper Bowman?
I mean, I don't really know how to really answer that. I was always the smallest one on the team. You know what I
mean?
You
were? Okay.
I was the smallest one on the team. And
Cass is saying yes. He's always been that dude. He's always been that dude. The girls are just oh, God, putting stickers on your helmet, when you're not looking and shit like that.
No, it was, I don't know. It was weird when I was young because I had to, do a lot more than a lot of kids because I was, the smallest one.
True.
Even until about my sophomore year in high school. And I would say that sophomore year is where it kind of took off because I really started to grow. Yep. So on the basketball court, I started to play a lot. Okay. And then that was the first summer I played with the hard hats. And so, honestly, from that 2016 summer, it kind of just took off in a way. Mm-hmm. But it took a while. It felt like it was just stagnant up until then. But then, it was exponential growth from there on out.
Honestly, you see that out of a lot of great athletes though, because you develop the acuteness of skill when
Right.
you're tinier, when you're smaller, and you get that LGS, that little guy syndrome, because you're like, what the hell? Everybody's bigger than me. So
Yeah.
you naturally almost just get that extra bit out of you. And then when you do fall out to, well, you're definitely not a tiny dude. I'd say, what are you sitting about 6 foot, about 210, 215 right
About,
now?
yeah.
Yeah. That Major League Eating program's doing good, folks. So, but I mean, yeah, when you fell out like this, there's talks about guys like Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis was a point guard till his senior year in high school, and then all of a sudden he's the brow. He's 6'11",
Right,
you know?
yeah.
Dennis Rodman didn't even grow to be 6'7" until after he had graduated high school. Dennis was working like janitorial, and then ended up growing to be really big, going to play at public parks and community colleges and stuff, and got picked up,
just good.
you know, and step by step, actually worked his way up baseball style to the NBA.
Right.
So,
Kinda, yeah.
like I said, you know, it kind of helps, especially being an infielder too.
Right.
So, do you think kind of having, because you're about on the tweener side, so for a second baseman, I'd say you're about average size, but for a shortstop, you'd be almost a little big, right?
You know, it kind
Or
of
maybe, I guess nowadays they're getting. I mean, you look at Tatis.
I mean, yeah,
Stacked.
that dude's a freak.
Yeah, stacked.
I don't really know how it compared to like other different levels, but in terms
True.
of like low A this year, I was definitely like one of the bigger second basemen.
Okay.
And so I wouldn't be surprised. They kind of told me I was going to play like a little third, short, second, and maybe center. But I didn't this year. But I wouldn't be surprised if I got moved around every once in a while.
I just want to say, the Tampa Tarpons did you dirty on your photo, because I saw you and I'm like, yeah, he's filled out a little bit. This is the photo here. So I was like 205. I'm like, okay, he's probably a lanky 205. And Cooper gets here to the studio, and I'm like, no. I'm like, that was taken first day.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's taken before 3 squares. That's
Right.
taken before 2 times a day in the weight room. That's taken before good nutrition. That is
Sure.
taken before the Yankees are paying for your food.
Right.
So, no, that's awesome. But I mean, still, if we're talking, you know, stats here, I you know, for single A ball, I mean, just jumping into it, still batting 255, 350 for, you know, on base percentage, like, you know, getting in there, just kind of finding your groove. You know, once again, looking at the scouting report, do you feel like you're a pretty well overall balanced player now that you kind of are starting to fill out, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of room to like grow physically still, and then obviously with the game, that's just a given. But I mean, I think it's like a good base, kind of.
Exactly.
You know.
Yep. Well, no, I mean, I'm sitting here and like I said, I mean, from what I kind of still know about, like, you know, positional average as far as like size, obviously the newer generation of athlete in any sport is crazy, but you still have those outliers. Like, there's the photo of football players. There's DK Metcalf and Hunter Renfroe, and they're like, these guys play the same position.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, like I said, do you see, with, you know, kind of growing a little bit more and expanding as a player, who knows? I mean, you're 21, so maybe you grow an inch or two in the future.
Hopefully.
Do you see a switch to maybe like a third base or an outfield?
I could see center. They like center just because of my speed.
Yep. I was about to say, I've heard you're really quick too for like that power size combo.
So they really like that, obviously. And the only reason I didn't this year was because of Jason.
True. Yeah,
So,
well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna come on.
Because you're 21 and he's 20.
I think
21.
he's 19.
Or no, he's 19. Yeah, so Jason's actually younger because he started
younger,
minors. Yeah. So
I mean, I kind of get that, but like, there's definitely a chance to play center, maybe third. I mean, they like short too, but my Trey, he's just a big 6'5" shortstop, you know. So like, if he's there, there's no reason for me to go there. You know
exactly, and that's the hard part. Is like, it's like, where do you develop versus it's like the organization has to look, well, maybe you'd be best here, but at the same time, here's where we are organizationally.
Right, for us, you're best here.
So. Well, yeah, and that could change in a heartbeat. I mean, the Yankees could all of a sudden this offseason want to trade for a superstar. Jason Dominguez is included in that trade, and all of a sudden
happens all the time.
You're their next center fielder because, I mean, let's not shit about it. I mean, top 50 is kind of like the threshold, but like MLB.com has you 171. So
I didn't know
the
that.
Yankee, yeah. MLB.com has you 171 on their list of top 250 prospects.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, you're drafted and you're already cracking the list.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's cool,
yeah.
but the trade you were talking about, it happens like all the time.
All the time, especially with star prospects.
Right. Our very first, so we played 2 rookie ball games before we played the Tarpons. Our very first game, our center fielder, we all heard he was like kind of a big deal. He was like the 17th prospect for the Yankees.
Okay.
And it was crazy because he actually missed like a routine fly ball that game. So we were like, man, that's weird. But anyways, later that afternoon, dude gets traded in the Rizzo trade to the Cubs.
Yep.
And he's like AA with them right away because they obviously needed a center field prospect. So he just flew through the organization. It was crazy.
So, and here's my thing. I will rabbit trail all day long. I literally had an agenda, and then I will scrap that shit. So my interest is playing with the Yankees because it is renowned. If you are a sports fan, you like to get into the the meat and potatoes of what actually makes the sport is the front office work, scouting, everything. The Yankees have always been renowned for their organizational prowess. Like they are number one. Like you said, you dress to impress.
Oh, yeah.
Your training is top notch. Like you guys, you are a higher level of athlete. Like you are, like if you're a Yankee, you're a fucking Yankee. All right, and you better act like it. So what do you hear from other players? Like, do you talk to guys maybe you played with in college? Like, what is it like in different organizations? Not calling out anybody, but like, what is it like elsewhere?
I mean, I don't know like exact stories, I guess, but I mean, I obviously talk to a lot of guys in different organizations, and we definitely don't get into details. So like maybe they do dress up to the field. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just kind of our thing.
Exactly.
I know for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I mean, in terms of how much they care about like each individual's development, I heard it's a big difference. To me, like I've heard the Yankees are really like big on like develop our guys, keep our guys as long as we can, blah blah blah.
Well, exactly. Like keep them in the crock pot because you never really know what's going to happen. And then if you got to trade them, if you got to make them a part of a business decision, the Yankees have always, like I said, you can't hate them because they've always had the same modus operandi. Whether it's been George Steinbrenner at the threshold, whether you've had shit going back to like Casey Stengel and all those guys, back in the in the golden era of baseball. Like the Yankees have they've run with just professionalism is honestly the only thing you can put to it, and you have to hate it because you can't replicate it because they're the Yankees. They're pinstripes. They're never going to change. And so like you said, you might have buddies elsewhere who if they're sitting down there, they're the 20th ranked prospect in this or in a certain position group where they're buried down there. It's kind of like, well, what am I going to do?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's just like a different level of expectation kind of. And the Yankees trade a ton of prospects. I mean, every organization does.
Everybody does.
Yeah, but the Yankees do, and it almost just means more coming from the Yankees. I think you just have like a little bit of a bigger title, I guess, or like a tag on
hands down.
And I don't know if that's necessarily fair, but it just kind of that's just how it is when you're on the Yankees.
No, honestly, no. I mean, trust me, anybody who views this who hates the Yankees, you'll be like, of course, a Yankees player says that. But no, I mean, it's the truth.
Yeah.
If you're watching, there is marquee franchises. There are franchises who simply, I don't want to say that they're better, but they are. They're more marketable. They have more fans, and they attract your eyebrows. Like your eyebrows raised whether they're in a trade, whether they sign somebody, whatever. Like
it's
in
like
basketball, you have the Lakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, in football, I'd say, honestly, even though I disagree with why they're supported, but the Cowboys are like that. The Cowboys, no matter what they do, people watch. And the Yankees, honestly, are that franchise in all of sports. Like you guys are up there with Real Madrid and Man U.
Yeah, they're
seriously.
all like, it's just the teams that are in the news, and there's really nothing you can, like from a player standpoint, like there's no difference. Like you're still playing the same game. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's almost just like you kind of have not really a target on your back, but almost like a spotlight, I guess.
I would say almost like a combination of the two.
Yeah, maybe.
Like I said, because right away, I mean, we're sports fans. We kind of get it. It's like, dude, you're playing for the Yankees, but some people like right away they're like, oh, it's the Yankees, and so right away, like there's like 5 points of negativity, and you're like, first of all, I love playing for this franchise. Second of all, I didn't choose where I got drafted. Third of all, C.1, I love playing for them.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's
so I guess going forward, I mean, what do you think about this year's Yankees team? Because obviously it's unfortunate what happened in the wild card, but the AL East is just stacked.
Loaded,
so for the organization, what do you just kind of think going forward? Because obviously they're going to have that success. You just kind of expect it at this point.
I mean, they're going to be good no matter what they do, whether they like bring guys up from their farm system or trade, because they can get they can get a lot for their farm system.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So they'll be good, obviously, but I mean, to make the playoffs in the AL East this year is pretty impressive alone. I mean, the
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it would not be a Fishing Elephant production if we didn't have technical issues. So that is your signature technical issue of the day, brought to you by our sponsors, Mike Pyle from American Family Insurance and Playmakers in the Mall. No, they did not want us to have a technical difficulty, but they sponsor us, and here's a moment to plug some shameless stuff. But before we froze on camera here, we were talking just kind of Yankee baseball. We were talking the organizational prowess, but originally I bunny trailed off of growing up. So let's get to the boring stuff that you've told the Rapid City Journal,
Sure.
Sporting News,
Yeah.
the Yankee Report, Yes Network. I mean, tell me about Cooper Bowman.
Sure. Grew up in Lead, not even Rapid. Moved here in like 6th grade, which I love Lead still, but thank God, because there's just so many more opportunities in Rapid,
Yes,
So
exactly.
it had to happen. But yeah, kind of like I said earlier, I was like the smallest dude from like 6th grade to sophomore year-ish. So I just had to get like skilled, I guess. But I always had size 14 feet, which was crazy.
So at that point you have to know that you'll grow into it at some day.
I mean, it was bound to happen, but it just
Exactly.
wasn't forever. But
Either that or a life as a circus clown.
that
It's
would
not
suck.
bad.
Yeah. No, I mean, but yeah, that sophomore year, kind of like I said, physically I just kind of blew up, and then it just kind of transferred into the game, and I would say that's when like my level of like possibility of playing college ball kind of started to come out, I guess, was after my 16-year-old year.
Yep.
And then after my junior year, it was kind of happening already. So then committed to University of Hawaii.
Okay.
And then was committed for over a year. Was leaving in like a month after I graduated from Stevens.
Okay.
And the coach left, moved to Paris with his wife. So I decommitted, but they didn't release me from my contract, the coaches that were still there. And so I couldn't go to another D1 or like anywhere. Or else I would have had to sit out a year, because I wanted to go to Oral Roberts in Oklahoma.
Yep.
It's like a smaller D1 in the Summit. Yeah,
I know Oral Roberts.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I wanted to go there, but I would have had to sit out my freshman year. So I just went to a junior college, so I could obviously keep playing. And then after my freshman year, I had like Louisville, Mississippi State, Auburn, like these kind of schools. So I was like, well, I can't go to Oral Roberts now. So I had to play another year and ended up going to Louisville, obviously.
Exactly, yeah, because at that point you're sitting there and you're like, well, kind of boosting myself out of that, like mid D1, because Oral Roberts still is a respectable baseball program.
Yeah.
In basketball, in the Summit Conference, so they get a bid in the NCAA tournament every year, but obviously you're not going to recognize a name like that over Louisville.
It's not the same, yeah.
Exactly.
And just terms of like, if I did what I did at Oral Roberts, or if I did at Oral Roberts what I did at Louisville, I wouldn't have been picked in the 4th round by the Yankees. You know what I mean?
Yep,
It's just not the same.
Yep.
So.
Well, no, hands down, obviously the college where you go to, because, yeah, if you would have batted what you batted in college at Oral Roberts, they're looking at it, okay, but they take the competition into effect, and at Oral Roberts, they almost put a negative next to it. So when you're in Louisville, you're playing, in the ACC at that point, so you're talking like you're playing North Carolina.
Yeah,
you're playing all these
the
D1
dogs,
schools.
yeah.
And even non-confs, you got, the SEC, you got
Vandy,
all these amazing programs.
Kentucky, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, you play every Friday night is like 95 with movement, obviously.
Yep.
I mean, and there's just never like a game off. You know what I mean? Our midweeks, we play teams like Morehead State and Eastern Kentucky, but then they throw their dude against us because like they want to win a midweek. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly, yeah, because they can take down the team. You're taking
and
down Louisville.
Yeah, it actually happened a couple times this year because everyone just gets up to play those kind of games when you're the other school. So there's never a night off.
No.
But it definitely prepares you for pro ball pitching.
So I'm starting to notice a trend here a little bit in both your later collegiate career and then into your professional career. The name branding, because Louisville, I mean, obviously the slugger, hands down. So obviously Louisville and Yankees. I mean, Louisville you intended for, the Yankees you didn't. But I mean, you got a name brand going, and I think Cooper Bowman is a hell of a name to market.
I hope so.
Like you were born with a hell of a marketable name. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the look, you got the marketing. I mean. This dude is on GQ in the future next to Tom Brady. Tom Brady, 51 years old.
Wow.
Still playing in the NFL, playing for the Los Angeles Rams. And then we have Cooper Bowman, up-and-coming center fielder for the New York Yankees. Because, I'm going to sell on it. I like Jason Dominguez, but I haven't met Jason, all right? So, yeah, you're my dude now. I mean, center field, shortstop, second base, whatever it ends up being. So I think it would be awesome, but so we actually played in the same Little League. That's the one thing I will say we have in common. I'm not going to put myself on that level, but we have one thing in common, and we played in the Canyon Lake Little League. So who did you play for? Because I had the Rockers.
I played for the Mariners.
Okay, gotcha.
I had some buddies on the Rockers though.
Yep.
Some guys I played with all the way through post that were on the Rockers, and they were always better than us.
Yeah.
Yeah, they won the D2 or D1 championship my last year.
They did. Okay, so I'm trying to think here because the guys. Now, did you make majors as a 9-year-old?
No, we moved here when I was 10.
Okay, gotcha.
Didn't make it when I was 11. Can't make it when you're 10.
Yep.
I played in majors, but didn't obviously
Yeah.
played with the 10-year-old team.
Yep.
Didn't make it when I was 11, and then made it when I was 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? God, what was my route? So I played 8, 9-year-old ball at Rushmore Little League because we lived in a trailer park on the north side. So, between evading gunshots, stolen bases were pretty easy. Just kidding. It wasn't that bad. But the trailer park, I have to drive by the trailer park we used to live in. I'm like, bro, it was not that rugged back in the day. On God, my dad had us in a safe place 20 years ago. But so I played there at Rushmore, and then I popped on over, played a year of the 10-year-old ball that they got at Canyon Lake. I made majors at 11, and then played 2 years of majors, and then I tried out for Pony, and then I think what was it it was the first night of drafting I didn't get drafted, and I thought I'd slayed the tryout, and obviously as a kid you do, but I was sitting there. And I had kind of already been on baseball. My dad and his wife at the time loved going to Angostura, so they were kind of like, "Well, do you really want to play baseball?" And I'm like, "Actually, I'll go down to the lake." I'm like, "I'm more of a football player. I got to put on some muscle going on forward." But with the Mariners, obviously, you then go to Pony for a couple of years, and then how was your post 22 career? Because post 22 is legendary in this town.
Right. Yeah. I mean, first of all, those are the best fans I've ever played for. It's 22 fans. They're amazing. But I got up there when I was 15, and I was on the Expos right away because a couple of us came up a year late.
Okay.
Because we played a summer basketball traveling team ended up being the starting 5 from Central with the starting 5 from Stevens.
Really?
My senior
Okay.
year. Yeah. So we were all together playing that summer. So we came up when we were 15, and I think that was the year after Tanner Simons left, and he was the starting shortstop.
I played
for a
with
couple
Tanner.
Years. Okay.
Tanner was a 9-year-old when I was a 12-year-old,
Okay.
and obviously when I played with him as a 9-year-old, I'm like, so I have to correct myself. I said I was the best player on that team. I was the second best player on that
Behind
team.
9-year-old,
I'd say,
yeah.
because you had 9-year-old Tanner Simons, who was on there slaying it. Because
Tanner's
once again,
awesome.
he went with the first team from South Dakota to go to the Little League World Series.
Yep. And so that was the year after he left, and so halfway through the year, I was got moved up to the Hard Hats when I was 15.
Okay.
And we went to Colorado our first weekend, and I went 1 for 20 maybe. I mean, I'm playing 18, 19 year olds.
Just laid an
and
egg.
The only thing I could do was field a ground ball. I had no
Yep.
chance in the batter's box.
Yep.
And
You're facing what, probably mid 80s?
yeah,
at
which
that
was
point?
the first for
Yeah.
me, and I was
Yeah.
hands down the smallest kid on the field, not even close. And so I played a month up there. Then Tanner Simons came back from college. He was young enough. He was 18 or whatever. I don't know what the rule is, but he came back from his first year of college.
Because post ball's a little weird like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so then I went back down to the Expos,
Yep.
thank God. And then the next 3 years I was up at the Hard Hats. So.
And that's kind of hard too, because in development too, if you take a player like that, obviously in post 22 it's probably a little less for the ramifications. But yeah, you take players like that in the pros who a guy should be a AA player, and then you just all of a sudden rocket shoot him to the moon because you think he can play. And you can ruin a guy's career like that because it takes out his confidence, and he develops negative habits on top of that.
I think it helped in terms of just knowing what to expect the next couple of years.
It was a taste.
Yeah,
at least.
if I would have stayed the whole year and hit $120 for the whole season, I would have been demoralized. But just getting a month up there, and then going up there next year, I was still the youngest guy there when I was a 16-year-old.
Okay.
So I mean, I still had that full year of learning as well before I really blossomed, I guess.
Exactly.
My junior year.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you said sophomore, I'm guessing sophomore, when you shoot up to 6 foot tall, it takes probably about a year to get used to that.
Yeah, I mean, I was still the smallest one though.
Well, exactly, because so you're tiny and now you shoot up, but
yeah,
this goes to this,
right? I was a little skinny,
and when you don't have much this,
yeah, I mean, I wasn't as strong as I needed to be, and I think that's when I really started to really get after it in the weight room was when I was 16. But yeah, then I came back 20 pounds heavier when I'm my 7-year-old year.
Okay.
With a full year and a half of the hard hat experience, then it kind of just went up from there. So
yeah, and you just shot it to the moon. Well, once again, I think in high school you kind of get that.
You do,
because I know in football, obviously, it's already regimented for you. You have your freshman team, your sophomore team. If you're good enough as a sophomore, you'll play some varsity. Which I dabbled a bit there, but it's I didn't even play my junior year starting off. I ended my sophomore year with a knee injury. And so, my junior year, I hit the weight room going into my sophomore, year, and I'm going into my junior year, and I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sitting there, and I'm all right, I put on 20 pounds, for a South Dakota lineman, I'm weighing 220 right now. So I don't think I'm going to start because we have a lot of really good seniors. I probably work my way into the rotation, or, maybe I'll try going out for tight end. And then we go to summer camp and I will never forget this. We go to Shadron for summer camp, and they start listing off the teams. They start listing off varsity. I'm waiting for my name.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for my name. And I'm waiting for my name. And it doesn't get called, and all of a sudden, like my line coach from my sophomore year, because like that was the thing, is like I was supposed to start tiptoeing into varsity before my knee injury, is like because I was doing fairly well, I will say, and then once again like that happened, and then I get sent to the JV team for camp, and the only other person who was a junior who got there was my buddy Tyler, who I love Tyler, but he was once again, I think he was 5'7", 90 pounds as a junior in high school, and once again that sent him to the weight room too, because like the kid's juiced now. He's still only about 5'9", but he weighs like 185. He started lifting for a passion, and he's like, it's those kind of moments that fire you up, like where you get sent up and you're like, holy cow,
not ready for
these
it,
guys are bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. I need to get my shit into gear. You get that taste, but enough to where it's like it's a taste.
Oh yeah, and I wish I could have got like more taste of like stuff like that, like through college. Like my sophomore year, I could have got a little taste of the ACC. That would have been nice, because that's like a different monster in itself. Is junior college to like high, like ACC, SEC baseball. I mean, those guys, everyone there is legit. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what people don't realize is between D1, there's many levels all along this way here of, it's the difference if you're playing in the WAC to where you would have been at Hawaii versus, if you would have, you're playing at Louisville, boom, you're there.
No, I mean, every time you're on the field, there's 10, 15 draft picks.
Exactly.
It's just, and the pressure's there, obviously. There's scouts at like every game. And it's those kind of things that you can't really like prepare for.
Oh no! I mean,
get thrown in the fire. But.
Yeah, you're sitting there, and like you said, so it's the combination of the fact that once again, you're Louisville, you are the name, like on God, you're on the bats. Like I mean, not like obviously there's no relation there, but I mean Louisville to college, Louisville Sluggers. So like naturally, you have a pedigree in baseball. You guys, like you were talking about, you're ranked number 4 until like the end of the season. So people are going for your head every single time.
Night,
I mean, you said the kid you played with went number 1 overall this year, right?
Yeah, and he was in my hitting group. So like, he hits, I hit. So like. You got to follow something. But yeah, in terms of like other teams coming after us, everyone wanted us obviously because of him. Our first baseman was a high pick. Yeah. We had like 9 guys get picked. So
where were you on your team then? Like
I was the 3rd pick.
You were the 3rd pick. Okay, so a little bit of bragging rights among the boys there.
But
it's all love.
Right. Yeah, and like teams, I don't know if they had it out for us necessarily, but like. They wanted to beat us.
Yeah, I mean, not like like they're toe up sliding or anything like that. They're not taking you out or anything. But obviously, even just as a fucking high school athlete, there was a difference between playing Douglas High School. I know you can relate to this, between playing Sioux Falls Lincoln.
Yeah, you just want to win one. Maybe not win one a little more, but like it means a little more to win.
I would say because you don't consciously think it, but as an athlete, there's something else that gets in you.
Yeah.
You feel like you feel it deeper, and you can't control that aspect, but it gets there. And that's what honestly, like, I don't know, I always felt that, and whether people either rise to that or fall to it, I think is what makes great athletes. But like when you feel that, like this one just means a little bit more right there.
And then you're playing on the other side of that every night. That's the tough part. Same with the Yankees. It's like it feels like everyone wants to beat you a little more just because of like the team you play for.
Yeah, because you're wearing the pinstripes every single time. You're out there during A ball. Like, so do you guys wear the pinstripes
at home? Yeah,
at home you guys do. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's no personal bad blood like between teams, but you can definitely tell like there's a little bit more energy on the other side.
The eyes squint a little tighter against the Yankees there. Okay,
and it really shouldn't at our level, but it kind of does. But
I would think if there was one franchise in all of sports where it bleeds everywhere, it's the Yankees.
Yeah, I think
Once again, because now I'm rusty, so I don't want to embarrass myself here, but give me the entire bottom to top rundown, and especially for people, I mean, maybe a little explanation along the way, because there's some people who tune into the show who don't know how complex the minor league system is. So what is Cooper Bowman's road to the show?
So you start in rookie ball, which is where obviously we all started this year, and that's like no stands, like no fans, like you and the other team, you're just playing.
You're just playing to play.
Nothing. Yeah.
Sandlot ball.
Yeah, and so you start there. We played 2 games there. Then you go to low A, which around most places the spring training complexes. So most teams are in Arizona or Florida.
Okay.
We were in Tampa, obviously, and then from there you go high A, double A, triple A, big leagues. But it's not like you hope to make one jump a year.
Yep.
Like that's kind of the goal. So it's not like you're going from high A to triple A in a year, Like you hope we want to start at high A next year, and that's still super far from the big leagues, but it takes so long. Like you just have to hope to just slowly go up.
Just jump.
Yeah,
and jump.
and then occasionally there's
Jump.
just that one dude, like I said earlier, Anthony Volpe for us.
Okay.
And he's just flying through.
Yep.
And it
So-
almost never happens. But
So Anthony Volpe.
Mhm.
So that's a name to watch out for.
I would,
All right.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Name to
he,
watch out for. All right. Any other insiders? Obviously not giving
There's a
away
lot.
anything, but
No.
who are some of the boys we should watch
Yeah,
out for? I mean, shout out the Yankees here.
Yeah, Volpe, he won like minor league hitter of the year or something.
Okay.
And he was in high. He's a shortstop, so he'll definitely start in Double A next year.
I was about to say probably make the
At least.
jump to double and then maybe a switch halfway at triple, depending on the way the roster plays out.
But yeah, he's a big name. Obviously Jason is a huge name.
Jason. I was about to say we have several Dominguez cards, so yeah.
Antonio Gomez is a 19-year-old
Okay.
catcher for low A, and he's impressive. He's really
Okay.
good. Yeah, and the Yankees love him. I mean, rightfully so.
Well, and so obviously, Sanchez getting a little bit older. All due respect, probably not playing to the level he once did. You got to start looking young at catcher. And
Yeah.
obviously, Dominguez is attractive at center field. And if you can get a 19-year-old catcher back there, I mean, the GM's eyes just get a little bit twinklier at that prospect.
Yeah, and our I think he's our Double A catcher right now. Is kind of a big deal. Austin Wells. So yeah, there's a lot of big names.
Best position to have depth at, though, in my personal opinion, because catcher, I feel like you are at that point getting so many like glove skills and ball skills that honestly a transition to maybe first or third is not that hard if you have the depth at catcher. Like we've seen a lot of players do it later in their career, like Joe Mauer switching to first base to extend as a hitter and save his knees.
Yeah,
it's not a bad thing to be deep at catcher.
No, definitely not. And I think the Yankees are big on that because every level has like 3 or 4 catchers.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, I mean, plus also you just need people for the pitchers to pitch too. I mean, you have bullpen sessions.
Right, you just have stuff going on.
Exactly. Yeah. Pitchers need to pitch. Okay, so what is the average roster makeup then for you guys at your level? Because obviously I know in the pros you have 26 on a roster, and they usually keep X amount of pitchers, X amount of field players. I believe it's 10 and 16 this year? Or
I don't know.
Teams do a balance, but what is your low A roster comprised of?
I'm probably wrong. I guess it's probably about
no,
the
you're
same,
good. Yeah,
but I would guess like 28, 30.
Okay.
With more pitchers
Gotcha.
for sure.
Yeah. Oh, hands down. Yeah.
Because we just throw arms out like nothing.
Yep.
Especially the Yankees, who every dude the Yankee picks is 95 plus. So like they're going out there for an inning to 3, and then new guy.
Yep.
So yeah, we have a ton of pitchers at least.
I was about to say, just cycling through everybody's a fresh, ready arm
Right.
that's giving you the business. I mean, you're facing a closer every single time.
Basically.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're not familiar with baseball, obviously there's a completely, and I know, did you ever, and you pitch, and obviously being a pro, you probably get this way better than I could even say, but the difference between starting pitching and closing pitching and how you train that arm and you develop that arm,
Totally
leagues
different.
apart.
Yeah, totally different.
Like I remember when they were trying to make Jonathan Papelbon starting pitcher for the Red Sox, and it went horribly because they're like, he can't stretch it.
No, honestly, it's just like kind of, I don't want to say like a luck thing, but like some guys' arms just never hurt, and they just have like a rubber arm, and all through pro ball guys are like that, all through college guys are like that, and they just throw forever, and then some dudes are nasty for an inning, like 100 with run whatever, but they can only do it for an inning.
Yep.
And sometimes it's like a physical thing, but most of the time it's really not. It's just like, I don't know, my arm never hurts.
I always wondered that. I wondered if it's just like a build because you see it with players growing up. I mean, how many times do you hear about the star pitcher who tore his rotator cuff, and all of a sudden he's done, or he constantly battled injuries, and then you see guys throwing into their 40s.
Right.
So it's like,
I mean, obviously, like taking care of yourself is one thing, but like to an extent, it's almost like, I don't know.
Well, it's like you need to be a careful professional athlete, and then there's Bartolo Colon,
right?
and then who defies all logic.
Exactly.
It's like he's 46, looks like he belongs, in the Nathan's hot dog eating contest as far as professional sports go.
Yeah.
But he's still pitching at a major league level.
Right. Yeah.
So,
that's why baseball's crazy, I think, is you have all these different builds and all these different you have guys like Trout that could be like a middle linebacker dang near, but then you also have guys like who am I trying to think of from the Mets? DeGrom.
Oh,
so I've seen him.
I was thinking Altuve.
I mean,
Altuve's like 4'6",
right?
75 pounds. I think I actually found a Jose Altuve clone inside of a like a little cereal box sometimes. So
yeah, he's a little dude.
He was holding the shirt closed, but So
yeah.
All right, so I actually, as a player, obviously not trying to get too controversial, too candid, but the whole sign stealing thing, from a player's perspective, how big is that?
It's a big thing, and I don't know if I want have the exact
I was
details
about to say,
right.
So not even counting out aforementioned team that is in my AL West division, Houston Astros, but just sign stealing overall in the sport. I mean, like I said, big thing. Do you see it?
It happens in baseball all the time.
Okay.
but within like the like baseball rules, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like if you're on second base and I mean everyone looks at least, because if someone's given one sign, that's their own fault.
Yep, exactly.
And normally you can try and figure out sequences and stuff like that, and everyone does that. But that's one thing. But then like when you start using like technology, obviously that's why they got in trouble, and that's obviously crossing the line.
Well, as a Raiders fan, I can always appreciate a little line edging.
Sure.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I can always appreciate, okay,
Yeah.
maybe,
Right.
you know, like, that's in the gray area. But, yeah, like, what Team A was doing was, like, you know, belligerently just, like, no, we're using, like, beepers and monitors. Right. And, like, you know, that's where the joke comes from is, like, they talked about Altuve having a buzzer on his shirt, you know, and that's why, like, no, don't pull it open, don't pull it open.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, I guess when I heard about that, I was like, it never even occurred to me from an outsider's perspective.
Yeah, it's crazy. And especially in baseball when, like, I wouldn't say you call sign stealing cheating if it's done, like, off of second base or off of first base. That's just, like, part of the game. I don't know if a lot of people realize
to where
that.
you're kind of if you're on second, you got a guy up at the plate, and you're like, you know, like, you know, you're like fastball, you know, yeah, exactly.
Teams do that.
That's been a part of it.
That's just
the beginning
part
of
it,
time.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't want to make it sound like there's not like sign stealing, but it's within like the game. It's not taken to technology. And
to put it in a football perspective here, it's like holding. If I get you out here,
yeah,
it's not so bad. But if I'm sitting here grabbing your fucking horse collar, okay, I'm gonna throw the flag now.
Right.
You know, if you're a little bit outside the lines, you don't want to stop the game because baseball is just fantastic in the poetry of it, but also at the same time, you don't want cheating.
Right.
So it's a hard crossover. That's one thing I was always interested in is you have your traditional, but do you hear rumors of it having, because obviously there's probably a spotlight. Is it like a Patriot situation where it's like, no, they just got caught?
I mean,
have you heard rumors of that?
I haven't personally.
Yeah, okay.
But like my opinion would be there's definitely more teams. I feel like there has to be.
Yeah.
I don't know who, I don't know how. But there's just no way, you know, no one else has tried something.
Exactly.
They just got caught.
Yep.
And so again, like there's no way to really punish anyone because you don't know for sure.
Exactly.
And I don't even know for sure. That's just what I think.
Well, and that, oh God, that was so crazy because it's like, so the GM resigns, like, you know, the manager resigns, AJ Hinch, you know, everybody is out the door, but none of the players got dogged.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the crazy thing is like you're sitting here because I don't know in that situation, you can't prove any of the Astros actually cheated. So like, now the hard part is like whether you did or you didn't, like you're on that hill of the asterisks of the maybe.
Right.
Like now if you're Altuve is like, you know, you could have not cheated the entire time. You could have actually been the one not.
Yeah.
You know, you could have had a crucifix or whatever down there, you know, that you didn't want ripped off, but now because of the unknown around it, you're always on that team. Dude, Bill Belichick, like, you know, was, you know, taping, you know, practices and stuff, and the Patriots actually performed worse with the deflated balls, but because of Deflategate, because of Spygate, everybody calls Brady a cheater now because of the affiliation with everything. Right. So,
which it kind of sucks in like, because they may not get as much credit.
Yep.
And even if, you know, if some of them weren't cheating or whatever, they deserve it if they were, obviously. But the guys who weren't, if there were any, that kind of sucks for them.
So as an athlete, then a curious question: even with cheating, like give it a percentage value. How much does it take off? So you're saying because obviously it still counts, you just throw an asterisk. What does the asterisk actually take off? Like for example, like Barry Bonds' home run record. It's coming out that he, you know, used anabolic steroids, but considering the environment, considering the time, considering everybody else was doing it, and considering the fact he was immensely talented beforehand, I mean, how much do you actually take off the top?
It's hard to put it like a specific percentage, I guess.
Yeah.
Personally, I think the whole Bonds thing is kind of crappy because everyone, like a ton of guys were on roids in that time frame.
Yeah.
And just because he was the one who performed the best with them, he gets in trouble, and a lot of the other guys don't. I don't know. I don't know how to do a percentage for the Astros.
Okay, yeah.
I would definitely say,
but you know, do you think it take a little bit, a medium bit, or a lot of bit?
A medium bit for sure.
Bit, okay.
I mean, because you still won the World Series.
Exactly.
But at the same time, like, what if the Yankees would have won that ALCS instead? So you got to take something off, I think.
Especially with how close the championship was, you have to think in those moments, those don't happen if you don't have that little extra advantage.
Right, and even if it wasn't an advantage, you can't, like, really determined that, so you have to dock him some credit, I guess.
Yeah.
But as far as the Barry Bonds things go, I still think he should be in the Hall of Fame. And
Easily.
yeah, I'm a big Barry Bonds fan.
I mean, well, let's also be honest. Pete Rose. I mean, Pete Rose never did anything wrong besides gamble. I mean,
Right.
they never even proved that he gambled on his own games.
Yeah,
Like, he
should be too.
gambled.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like the hits leader. Like literally, Charlie Hustle needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Yeah.
Do you think baseball will actually lax up and start to accept, because you also have guys like Clemens. You have a lot of these Rafael Palmeiro's another one.
Yeah.
I don't know if Canseco really deserves it. He was more of a popular figure. He didn't have the sustained success. But Mark McGwire, I mean, these guys who, I mean, some of them I know are in the Hall of Fame, but like there's a lot of guys who were left out. Do you think they start to come back around to including these guys in the game as time goes on?
I hope so, but
Yeah.
I don't think they will.
Okay.
I think they should, because I think having like Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame and Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame and stuff like that would only like make the game a little more popular, because there's so many people who want that. You know what I mean? And so, for someone who doesn't want it, I don't think they're gonna leave the sport just because those guys get inducted to the Hall of Fame. But I think they'll get a lot more fans if they did.
It's just a more positive move, because like I remember watching growing up. I remember watching the Barry Bonds home run hunt.
Yeah,
I was
crazy.
a little young. Like I remember watching like here and there games, because I have family who's Cubs fans, watching the Sosa McGwire.
Oh,
But
yeah,
I remember
crazy.
in depth following as a 7-year-old kid the Barry Bonds home run. I remember when he hit a home run in like that year's World Series, and he hit the Taco Bell little thing, and everybody got free Taco Bell. So like the next day I'm like, Mom, we need to go to Taco Bell for breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Yeah.
They don't do breakfast. I'm like, well, lunch, dinner, and then let's go for there for dessert too. And like it was a free taco for everybody. I'm trying to cheat the system for
cheat
3
the system,
tacos
sure.
from Taco Bell. Stick it to the man. Take that and your 60 cents worth of tacos, T-Bell.
Right, exactly.
So, as we'll wrap this up here, we are going to do a part 2 here, a little bit more of a fun episode. Now that Kylie is here, obviously the one who made this all happen. But finally growing up here, just I guess as a kid, what are some great baseball memories? Whether you're talking about watching professional, like some stuff involving baseball with you, just kind of go on about some baseball stuff.
When I was 12, we went to Indianapolis, almost the League World Series. Played on ESPN twice. Obviously, super cool when you're 12.
And that was a question I missed. You were part of the Canyon Lake Majors All-Star team. And you went there to the regionals and stuff.
We lost in the regional championship. But that was awesome, obviously.
Because you were still on ESPN.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
As a 12-year-old, it's super cool. Super cool experience. But outside of that, like Stevens basketball, first of all, was awesome.
Okay.
That was my favorite part of high school.
Yeah.
And I love Post and everything about Post 22. I still go there every day, but I love Stevens basketball.
Okay. Yeah.
Which was a blast. But inside Rapid, like the Firecrackers, super special. I would say.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, I know. Post throughout. When you're talking Firecrackers, Expos, everything all through that. Everybody talks about a great time. Obviously, it takes up a lot of your time.
Right.
But you game brothers for life.
No,
at
it's
that
awesome.
point.
Yeah, and playing like there, especially at the Fits, especially the new Fits. Crazy.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, those guys are lucky. So, I don't know. Rapid City's doing it right for sure.
Yeah, and that was kind of the cool thing growing up. Baseball was always, I feel like, the focus here, because you had a lot more guys who would at least do a little bit of something with baseball, and not even to the detriment. It's just like they have a great organization around here in Post 22.
Right.
320 offers a great alternative program to the kids who want to play high school ball, but Post 22 is like, man, if you want to start getting into those baby steps, because I think maybe, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but Post 22 probably was the first steps on what being a pro is like, as far as the regiment, the training, the seriousness of, listen, this is the name that you are representing now.
Right.
And then obviously you follow that from 22, huge name in town and Legion baseball, Louisville, huge name in collegiate baseball and just baseball period, and then the Yankees.
Right.
There's no bigger name in sports almost.
And the crazy thing is in junior college, Iowa Western is like that name too.
So I've heard that. I was reading a little bit. I was trying to prepare myself as much. I'm like, so this is like powerhouse. Like,
yeah, that's like the place to go.
powerhouse of of JUCO colleges. Which JUCO is not. I mean, on baseball level, sure, there's a jump from JUCO to like probably high Division I, but still JUCO is a very respectable brand.
Yeah, no, JUCO baseball is definitely like a bigger thing than people realize. I think like tons of kids get picked straight out of JUCO before they even go to university. And
well, I think both Strasburg and Harper back-to-back years. Harper even left high school early, but both Strasburg and Harper went back-to-back years, won for the Nationals out of JUCO schools.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then back to the 22 thing, that definitely was like the first like brand name, because even like walking around town, if you have 22 stuff on, like they always stress like you gotta like represent it the right way.
You're a hard hat,
right?
Like, you're part of 22
because it's almost like a business, and you got to make your business look good.
Yep.
So
Oh, yeah, I remember my buddies growing up. Different guys like Hunter Jackson, Ace Rodriguez, who played
Hunter
ball.
Jackson, yeah.
Obviously,
Hunter Jackson's my guy.
Dude, Hunter,
yeah.
I love Hunter. So someone the other day said they ran into Hunter and like said hi. I'm like, dude, I haven't seen Hunter in years.
I'm with him every day.
Oh, really?
At the gym, yeah.
Dude, tell Hunter what's up from Cole. Yeah, we used to play ball together.
Cool.
Like, Hunter is awesome, high energy, great guy.
Yeah, great dude.
Yeah, I grew up playing football, baseball against him, but I played football with him throughout middle and high school. So
yeah, and then Ace is his guy, and when he's in town, he's at the they're both really cool.
Awesome guys. Yeah. Awesome guys. So, yeah, those were the couple of guys I think off the top. And then, obviously, we talked about Dante. So, shout out Dante Bledsoe, my boy from Liberty Superstores. See me, but if I'm unavailable, go see Dante. So, but another shameless plug there. But, obviously, Dante's someone you had mentioned knowing as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't, know him personally. I just remember, watching him. And
watching
stuff.
him play.
I was a little
too
young.
Kind of well, and then in the 22 family, of people.
Yeah, obviously.
Talking about, knowing of them. You see them, you talk to them here. And they have alumni nights and stuff like that, too.
Right.
So,
right.
Which, Mr. Cooper Bowman, you now get to be a pretty big star attraction at, I imagine, being a Yankee. So, before we cut, kind of part one, we're going to have Kylie join us for part two on here. Anything else you want to kind of talk about? I leave the floor open here. It is all yours.
No, I mean, it's just been really cool to be back, obviously. You just see a lot of people that you haven't seen in a long time, and everyone wants to know how it's going.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm just happy to, get people excited about baseball getting rapid and stuff like that. So.
What is one question, if you never heard again, it would be too soon?
Oh, my gosh.
What is the number one question? You're, killing me. Yeah, you're because I joked with you beforehand. I'm like, so the first part, we're going to do something boring. It's like, so Cooper,
right.
growing up in Rapid City, what was it like being a ball player? I'm like, no. I'm like, how many windows did you hit out in your fucking neighborhood as a kid? All right? Let's get to the details. Reggie Jackson, how many mailboxes did you smash?
Oh, jeez. Man, the one question is, people always just ask, what's next? And there's 1,000 things, so how do you answer that really when you're in low A? So I don't know how to answer that, but train in the off season, go back. Hopefully you move up a level, and that's about it.
Okay, all right. So final question here. I'm gonna go to the show now. We talked about. I don't think you're in the game. I'm gonna create you.
Okay.
We're gonna create you. I'm gonna have the boys create you too. We're gonna have them throw them out there in the dynasties. Cooper Bowman, second baseman. Or where do I create him? In your personal opinion, obviously the Yankees, you trust the Yankees with your development.
Right.
I will state that. So they are the ones who choose.
Yeah.
Yep. But personal feeling, if you could just pick somewhere to play, not even current organizational, but what is your favorite position to play?
My favorite position to play is center. I love center.
Me too.
I love center.
I love center.
Yeah.
But growing up chubby, for some reason they don't like you in center field. They really don't like you in center field when you're fat. So I can't put my finger on it because it was in cake or Kit Kat or something like that. But yeah, God, it's like you need speed or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, once again, you kind of seem like the all-around player. They talk shit on your fielding accuracy,
they do.
Yeah, it's fine. It's good that you don't play quarterback though, right?
I guess apparently.
There we go.
Yeah,
there we go. My man, and second base is the shortest throw, but
right. Yeah, thank guys.
No, but obviously we'll be watching your development. It's been an honor, dude.
Cool.
So,
yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm ready to get off the screen. We'll grab some water. We'll jump Kylie on in, and we'll get this. But for Beers and Bullfishing Elephant, we're out.